it shouldn't be understated that he just said you maybe should have let the children die.
Oh, explain things to him. Use your words. Is that?
It's yes, Reg. It is that.
This is just the last one, but worse so far.
Hey, you with the laser face, bring death to the human race. A desecration, Mr. Edge guy's up there waiting, and today is the day he's waited for. Oh, Mr. Edge guy, please tell us why you had to get a chance for so long. Give someone else a call. Hey there, Mr. Edge, our patience is at an end. Look around, see what you spent. Your time here will not extend. Hey there, Mr. Edge, our patience is at an end. Look around, see what you spent. Your time here will not extend.
The studio said no shooting. And then I just, of course, shot stuff anyway. Warner Brothers has been aggressively anti-Snyder.
Mr. Edge, you've been a pain, but now comes Mr. Brain. Your time's over, your excuses have grown older. Just remember, there's no one else to blame. Mr. Edge guy, please tell us why you made it miserable for so long. Where did you go wrong? Hey there, Mr. Edge, our patience is at an end. Look around, see what you spent. Your time here will not extend.
And I believe in love.
If we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
What matters is that you'll be there for him, leading by example, just like always.
He sat with her until her time came.
We're all part of the same team.
Booyah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry we're late. It is my fault. I'm having an issue with my headphone port and it's not working. So I've got my headphones ran through my mic and I can hear myself. And I feel really bad for you guys because this is what you hear. And it's driving me insane. So I'm going to try to manage for this stream. If not, if the headphones don't end up working, I'll just play it out loud. And hopefully my noise cancellation will take care of it. But good morning, Jared. How are you this morning?
Man, that was a video that took a lot of self-control to get through because I'm like, well, that's wrong, that's halfway wrong. These people obviously have not watched these movies in a long time, but I'm doing very well. How are you?
You know that was a giant troll, right? You know I was just fucking with you.
Because I'm like, it's from Tristan, so it's probably a giant troll, but I'm like, ugh.
I had to.
You can't scratch. I wanted to jump in there and go, well, you're wrong.
And to be fair, I don't even really watch the EFAT people, like the Mueller, that group. I watch them every once in a while, but I'm not generally like a big fan of theirs. I'm familiar with them at best, but that was too good. That was too good. And if you guys want to see that again, it is in the description. It is not my video. It is the meme repository. And see, and again, not super familiar. I know of Rags. I know of Mueller. I'm assuming they're all in the same group, but yeah, I hate to judge without knowing. But you know what? I did actually a while back when I was going to talk. For some reason, Joseph Santos here in the chat thinks that Superman is a punk, and I did when we were talking about that go over some of their stuff and. It wasn't awful. It was good. I mean, it seemed fair-ish. And now I'm kind of jealous that they have this crazy setup where you can watch shit on their stream. And I don't know how to do it. I think it's amazing. I need to learn.
Awesome.
Good morning, everyone. I apologize.
What's up, Robert?
A dead guy. Thank you so back. Welcome to the land of the living. Horde Alpha, Chat Viking Council member, And loyal Tristans would like to wish you, Tristan, a good morning. And it's good to be back. I missed you guys. It is good to have you back, but everybody needs that kind of like decompression, right?
Mm-hmm.
They need to step away from social media for a while. I am going to play this out loud. I can hear myself and it's driving me crazy. Hold on 1 second. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay, wait, I can't hear you. Let me fix this.
Technical
All right.
difficulties, folks.
All right, let me know if there's an echo, guys, because that was driving me insane. But thank you so much, thank you so much, Dead Guy. I appreciate you, and we are glad you are back. So Jared emailed me the other day, and it was so weird, Jared. You're so weird. In the nicest way possible.
I was about to say, wait a second, where's it going?
Asking me to come on Friday, and I was like, you come on my channel Thursday, I'll come on yours on Friday, and then you're like, nah, just playing. But anyways, I seen a video that Jared did, and I think most people know. Okay, generally most people know. I'm gonna tell you what I think. And Jared did a video the other day, and it was like super. Yes. Okay. You explain the video, why it came up, and everything around it.
All right. So it's no secret here that I'm a fan of Zack Snyder's work for DC. Very no secret here, as you can see from my background. So I decided to do a video. Okay, let's think of 3 likely scenarios where they could at least bring it back for closure. Just for closure, because honestly, here's the problem that DC is running into right now. Because James Gunn is coming into a situation where DC, guess what? It's like, let me think. Oh yeah, DC is going into a situation where they have started and stopped stories constantly, and you need to actually prove to the audience that you can complete a story. Now you could say, okay, it's different now because the DC Studios is a different thing. But when you have Zaslav, who will cancel projects if there's any slight monetary incentive to do so, I really don't trust Warner Bros. At this point. So I was like, okay, let me come up with 3 scenarios where I think we could get some closure in some way. Granted, I said in the video, a lot of just is probably wishful thinking, but 3 of these could happen. Could happen. Now, number 1, I said, okay, a comic book, a DC Comics graphic novel continuation / conclusion where it's Justice League parts 2 and 3. That was the first scenario, and I was like, I think that's a great idea, to be honest with you. That's probably the most likely scenario of these, because they've continued these universes in comic book form for so long, and plus, I would definitely buy the omnibus because you can make the other movies tie-ins. But right. And then I said, okay, how about animation? Because that's also likely, because it's less of a hassle to get the actors together, and it's less expensive. Particularly, let's say they do this at Netflix. If you've seen Love, Death, and Robots, you know that animation does not necessarily mean 2D, like, Invincible-style animation, which I'd be fine with anyway, but I'm just saying...
Love, Death, and Robots is so good.
Yes, I know, but with those 3 really hyper-realistic 3D animations, you could legit have Henry Cavill face and voice. That's it. So I said, okay, it doesn't mean the end of the world. And then for the live-action part, I said, okay, this is probably the least likely. This is the scenario that I would want, because obviously I want to see this all in live action. That's the whole thing. I admitted that it's probably the least likely scenario. However, there is a path to something like this happening, which would be like let's see. Okay, so what I said in the video was, okay, so we have like, if the Flash and Aquaman make $1 billion, it's going to be really hard for them to say, okay, so we want to throw all this out now. Really hard, particularly since shareholders are going to be like, what do you mean you're getting rid of all these characters? They just made us money. Are you idiots? The answer is yes. But so that's the first thing. Second thing is that, guess what comes out at the end of the year?
I don't know. Tell me.
Rebel Moon, otherwise known as Zack Snyder's Star Wars movie. So,
oh yeah, I don't care.
I'm saying.
Oh, I mean, in the nicest way possible.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying if that gangbusters, maybe Netflix can go, hey, listen, guys, hey, listen, Zach, would you be interested in doing this because we want to do more content with you? Because Netflix has pretty much told Zack Snyder, do whatever the hell you want over there. Do whatever you want. We don't care. Just keep making us content. So the point of that part of the video was just to say it would at least start the conversation. And for those of you that say Netflix can't afford all these licensing fees and hiring the actors and stuff, well, that could easily be negotiated in the negotiations. What I'm just saying is that it's not as impossible as people think it is. And remember, the same people who are saying there's absolutely no circumstances where this is happening are the same people that said there's absolutely no circumstances where the Snyder Cut is released. Okay,
here's the thing. I didn't want to interrupt you because you're on a roll. I was actually talking about your Zack Snyder sell to Netflix video.
Oh, my tribute?
Yeah, because that's the one where I think I pissed you off.
You did, but that. But,
I knew it. I'm sorry. Okay. Please, everybody listening, remember, I troll, and I'm going to tell you how it is. I thought it was cringy. Not the editing. The editing was great. The whole rally your troops bullshit.
Well, because it was it was in support of a trending event. I have friends that do this, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll make a thing. My edits always do well. Plus, my edits, particularly around the Snyder stuff, always do well. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do something here. And plus, I legitimately want to see some type of conclusion to this, like I said before. So I'm like, screw it, I'll throw it together. I really don't care about any backlash I get because you know what? Okay, here's my problem here. Because a lot of people go, why can't you Snyder Bros move on? Okay, well, here's the problem. Because the same people that tell you to move on are the same people that bring up constantly how Zack Snyder screwed up DC. So I put out a tweet like a month ago.
Both things can be true.
Both things can be true, but I'm like, for a group that wants to move on from Zack Snyder, you seem to be talking about Zack Snyder constantly. And second off, no, if I'm civil about it and I want to see more of this content, by the law of capitalism, I'm allowed to campaign for whatever I want, as long as I'm being civil about it. Let me be clear. There's one thing I want to get off here. I admit that there is a vocal minority in the Snyder fandom that are crazy. I will 100% support that because I have kind of encountered them before.
Okay. Is it a vocal minority though?
It is.
It seems to be the majority, at least what I've seen.
No, it is. And you know who has backed me up on that? James Gunn. He says it's just a minority of people that are toxic. The rest of them are actually really nice.
I agree with that because I've encountered people like you that can have these conversations. But the problem is there's not a, I don't know.
There needs to be more of us out there saying,
and less of them.
Because here's what you saw when James Gunn was named the head of DC. You had these same people going out blasting DC and stuff, and then you had the majority, which was normal people like me, going, okay, he hasn't even announced anything yet, so just you had a mass purging of the toxic fan base and guys saying, no, you know what, I'm done with you guys, go away. That's really what happened.
Let me get this, and then I got a question. Yeah. I would very much like to hear you say, "Chat Vikings assemble." I fucking love it.
That's awesome.
Wait. Cheese horse. Chat Vikings assemble, cheese horse, with some gusto. If not, take my money anyway. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Chat Vikings. Nah, I can't. Now I feel under pressure. Chat Vikings assemble, cheese horse. That is so weird. It's such a weird sentence. Like, Chat Vikings assemble is fucking cool, but you added the cheese horse in there. Albus, I know it's you. But good morning, Albus. So here's the thing. Your first video you were talking about, I absolutely was, even when I'm not a Snyder fan. That's very clear.
Oh, but I know that.
Even when I was very critical of the fandom, I was saying, look, I actually thought, I didn't think of the graphic novel idea. I thought animation was a good way to go. And that's why I thought that, what was it you guys did that, you sent it to me last time we talked about it. That, comic book that you guys kind of all got together and did, or at least some of the fandom.
Oh, Project Justice League, the motion comic, which was freaking
That's why
dope.
I thought that was so cool, because I thought there was a way forward. We've got Elseworlds, we've got the Batman, we've got the Joker coming up, we've got all of these Elseworld stories. It could be done in that light. But I think
that's why we're saying, hey, listen, it could have. Let me put it this way. There's just one thing I want to add to that point too, because I've seen people say, well, James Gunn doesn't want competition with his universe. Then why is he allowing Joker and the Batman to continue? Because
is there any Joker and I don't know. That was pre-established.
All he has to do is put the DC Elseworlds logo in the. What you could do in the intro, essentially the opening credits where it has like the big DC intro logo, just put DC Elseworlds. There you go. It's immediately separated from your universe.
Right, for sure. But the problem is when the Snyder fans, and I don't think there's a lot, I think there's a decent amount, but I think the vocal minority, and I still don't think it's a vocal minority. I think you are the vocal minority, to be perfectly fair. I think the good ones, supposedly, so to speak, you're the good ones, but you're the vocal. You had
I can tell you, as someone that's very plugged into this particular fandom, we are the majority. It's just we don't do enough to get out there and say, no. We need to actually be positive about this, because the majority of DC fans are like, okay, let's be a little positive about what James Gunn is putting out. Granted, we didn't enjoy his DC projects. I enjoyed the Suicide Squad more than Peacemaker, but you know what? Let's give it a shot, because hey, if it's dumb and we hate it, okay, you know what? At least we gave it a shot.
And that's fair. I hate to do this, but I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
And this is hard for me to quantify because obviously I'm not on every social media platform. I don't see every interaction, but can you guesstimate how many Snyder not fans, but huge supporters like you there are?
Way more. You mean normal people?
Can you quantify it?
No, I can't, because I've never
think so.
Checked that out. But based upon, let me put it this way, it's easy to think it's the majority, because a lot of because I did a massive purge of my followers, because there are a lot of people that saying F James Gunn, fire James Gunn and Peter Safran. I immediately unfollow any of those people, because A, that's not happening, and B, that's just toxic. But essentially, there are people that have legitimate criticisms of, first off, Warner Brothers, because when you look at the Snyderverse, 99% of all the criticism that the Snyderverse gets were because Warner Brothers sabotaged it. 99. And then I saw this great meme. This great meme perfectly summarized it. It was a picture of Avengers with Cap, Thor, and Iron Man looking at Thanos, and goes, imagine if Disney at this point said, nah, let's reboot and get rid of all the actors. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
it would be
where we're at right now.
But universes always reboot, right? Now, and if something was unsuccessful,
but
it's going to reboot.
Though. That's the issue. It was successful, because when you look at Man of Steel, it made enough where at the time in the trades it was shown, okay, DC has their hit on their hands. And then BVS made over $800 million, close to $1 billion, and that was the very, very, very not good version of BVS. The ultimate version, had they released a more complete version, or at least a better edited theatrical version, it would have made $1 billion. It would have made $1 billion. And if they had released the actual Justice League movie, guess what that would have made? $1 billion. It's because Warner Brothers consistently kneecapped Zack Snyder's universe that we had all these shortcomings.
Let me get this real quick, Jared.
Yeah.
How many of these Snyder Bros? Okay, I think this is going to be for you anyway. How many of these Snyder Bros are fans because they are legitimately feel Zack handles the characters respectfully? and how many are fans because he changed the characters to be what they wanted to see? Because it feels like most don't care about pre-Snyder DC history.
Nope, that's wrong, Robert. That is 100% wrong. Because actually, here's the thing. Let me tell you a little story. Because I started going through John Byrne's Man of Steel run. I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see where Zack Snyder got it. Because when you look at it, most of what Zack Snyder did, it's 100% in the comics, or at least the comics at the time. Because when you look at, like, Superman, he's a mix of post-crisis and New 52 Superman.
Wait, you actually think you can compare his Snyder, or his Superman to John Byrne's?
Yeah, because they're the same. I'm reading it, and he goes through the exact same, well, first off, personal doubt. He even goes to a snowy mountain because he doesn't know if he could do this anymore. So I'm like, oh, wait a second here. This is legitimately BVS and Zack Snyder. If this happened in a movie...
Didn't his father say, let them kids die, bitch?
He did not say that. He did not. He 100% did not say that.
He definitely said, maybe you should have.
No. Okay.
He did.
Because that was taken out of context. What happened
It's not taken out of context. I've seen the movie. He told him. Yes, you can finish, but he told him to let him die.
So Clark asked, okay, so what was I supposed to do? Should I have let them die? And he goes, maybe. But what he was trying to say, because the clips conveniently end at that point whenever anyone criticizes them. Moving on, he's basically saying, and this is exactly what was said in Man of Steel. He's like, hey, listen, I can't tell you what to do. You have to make this decision yourself. But know that once you let that genie out of the bottle, everything changes. And what's kind of funny is that, guess what? And I saw the Flash trailer where they put Kara in that Russian prison. That's exactly why he told them, be careful when you reveal your powers. That's
regardless. He said, I don't know, maybe. That is not because he's like he would have said.
No,
that is so out of characteristic.
He did say that. He legitimately did say that in the comics. He's like, Clark, no. Do not reveal your powers because they will fear you. Do not do anything.
Do not reveal your powers is different than let them kids die.
But he didn't say that. He didn't say let them die.
He said maybe you should let them die. No, maybe you should have.
Because I watched that clip again after a stream where I was debating Robert, and guess what? He moves on. You have to watch the whole scene.
Right. It doesn't matter. It's not Pa Kent something he would say. He would never say, maybe you should have let these kids die.
Yeah,
maybe.
I've read that. And by the way, and yes, he did, Robert. You have to watch the entire scene instead of taking it out of context. But anyway.
There is no context to make that better. You realize that, right?
Watch the entire scene. My point is, watch the scene from from that scene all the way to the very end, where he says you have to make a choice of whether to stand with the world, because that's the establishing point. That's what you have to do.
There's no context that can make saying maybe. No, there's not, Jared. Not for Pa Kent. There's not.
Well, first off, here's the thing, though. In addition to what I just said, what you have to understand is that, you can't treat these movies as one-to-one depictions of the characters from the comics, too. You have to allow some wiggle room.
Of course.
What's put in the comics will not translate it very well into TV, because, let me put it this way, ignore us, because we get the context, but the overall general public is not going to get it, which is why I say Superman should never have the trunks, and Superman should be more realistic to what he actually is, and that's Man of Steel. But my point is essentially is that a lot of this, now granted, could that have been written better? Yes. And by the way, Snyder, like I said before, Snyder did not write that movie. The only one he actually wrote was Zack Snyder's Justice League, the best one, because that was David Goyer. And by the way, a friend of mine and I, for my podcast Under Two Capes, we actually rewrote a lot of Man of Steel and BVS to make it to like fix a few plot holes. Like we changed the whole tornado scene, because I get what they were doing. Terrible. I get what they were doing, but that could have been done a lot better, Goyer.
That's another sign. That's another scene you can't defend. That's not Superman. That's not John Kent. That's the problem with that movie particularly was John Kent. Was the way he treated Clark.
I disagree, but okay, but
it was like toxic relationship the way he treated him.
No, it was not.
Oh my God. He was like, he made him so scared of himself. John
that's
Kent.
what would realistically happen if you had a guy that had God powers in today's world. Are you kidding me?
We don't have to have everything one for one today. Marvel is the world outside your window. DC has always been full of gods among men.
Yeah, and it
doesn't have to be one for one what is outside our window. We go to movies to enjoy them. You have to understand the way he treated Clark about his powers. If a parent were to treat them the same way about anything, whether it was a kid coming out of the closet or a kid being a little different or having any sort of issue, that would be damn near abuse, the way he treated him about his powers.
Well, I would encourage you, read the new 52, because John Kent.
I'm not a huge. I know you love the new 52.
No,
it's not my favorite thing.
No, I'm just bringing up. You have to go to the comics that were coming out at the time that informed David Goyer's writing. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. He's like,
but he never said let that. Maybe you should have let those kids die. He said in the comic, all he simply said was to be careful of the world. That is not saying over and over again that your powers are something to fear, because you need to embrace them and be good. He didn't teach his son to be good. He taught his son that his powers were something to fear.
No, he said, don't reveal your powers yet, because what he was saying was, pick your moment properly, because once you can't put the genie back in the bottle, a la Superman Secret Origins, and when you do that, it's gonna change everything, which is why it's paid off in Zack Snyder's Justice League, when essentially the spirit of John Kent, when he shows up in the black suit and goes, "Fly, son, it's time," because he's like, now you're ready. Now,
wasn't he dead?
Well, it's kind of like some kind of spiritual.
He was dead. It was his idealized version of his father. It wasn't his real father.
Okay, I didn't interpret it that way, but okay. But the point is essentially, my point is that a lot of these movies, and yes, that is Robert. Essentially, Jared came in for the new 52 and Snyderverse, he's beyond. But I'm not Robert. Let me ask you this: how many new 52 examples have I used today? One.
Like 3.
How many?
I'm just kidding.
How many non-new?
You also used John Byrne, which was a terrible. New 52 and Snyderverse both failed for a reason. People didn't like these characterizations.
Actually, that's not necessarily true. It's just what happened was there was no communication throughout the new 52. I'm just saying there. But my point is, geez, I'm not making things up to justify it, Robert. Oh my gosh, geez. So first off, can I add one thing to quote Ben Affleck? Remember, these are fictional characters. It doesn't matter whatever the hell I say. And second off,
right, and the thing is like we were talking about John Byrne earlier. Art is also, comic books are also subjective. We sometimes add our own things in there, and you may have perceived John Byrne's run than I did differently. It's not a bad thing. It's just we perceive things differently, and that's fine.
Can I say one thing?
Of course.
And this was my biggest issue with DC fans when I got really plugged in for this. I have a perfect example of what this did. So one of the things I've always done is shown my non-comic book people essentially, and by the way, Gary, I do agree with you.
We all agree with you, Gary.
Wonder Woman. Jeff Johns Wonder Woman, because Azzarello actually had a pretty dope Wonder Woman run. But
no, he did not. Stop it. We all agree with you, Gary.
One of my Wonder Woman trades is signed by Brian Azzarello. But anyway.
That's fucking awesome. I'm jealous.
I know, thank you. And David Finch. But anyway, so
even more jealous.
Thank you. He's a super nice guy. But anyway, so one of the things I always try and do is show the non-comic book people in my circle these movies and these books to see what they think. The number one thing they say is, okay, Superman's not a doofus anymore. I get why people like Superman. That's what this does. Because essentially, Christopher Reeve worked for the time period. But nowadays, the modern audience is going to go, I see, Superman's a bit of a doofus. He wears his underwear on the outside of his suit. I don't get it. I don't really.
I don't think anyone's going to say that.
That was me. That was me pre this stuff. That was me. Before I got into comics, I was like, I'm not actually a big fan of Superman because he's kind of a doofus. He's like, he wears his underwear on the outside of his suit, and it's like really annoying. Then when I actually watched like Snyder's movies, I read the New 52, and then I read pre-New 52 like Man of Steel. I was like, oh, I get it now. This is actually a good take on Superman. Because here's the thing. Here's the problem. Now, Nerdette, we're going to do a little thought experiment. You ready? All right. So let's say you're just coming into let's say you watched Man of Steel and you enjoyed it. Let's just say you did that, okay?
All right. This is a different universe, me. Gotcha.
It's a different universe.
Okay.
Let's pretend that happened, and then you show up, and then you show up to a bunch of fans, and you essentially say, "Hey, I love Superman. I love Man of Steel and stuff." And then that group goes, "Oh, that's not Superman. You're not a real DC fan. Get the hell out of here."
I would never say that to anyone.
No, but I have seen. Let me put it this way: I've seen it happen.
I understand.
It's been directed toward me, but all I'm saying is that guess what? If that happens, are you going to continue in this fandom? Are you going to continue, or are you going to go, you know what? This is too annoying. And that's my issue. The freaking gatekeeping.
That. Oh, you gotta realize at this point, these are just fun conversations to have. I'm not gatekeeping your fandom here.
I'm sorry. Okay. I'm not accusing you. I'm not accusing you at all. I'm saying a lot, particularly the Superman purists, are like, no, that's not Superman. You're not a real DC fan if you like this. Or the Batman purists, when I try and point out all the occasions where Batman has killed and used guns, they're like, no, you're not a real DC fan. I'm like, you could see my shelf, guys. You could see my shelf.
I think in that kind of case, I would be like, oh, that's awesome. You liked this. Let me point you into the direction of something like All-Star Superman. Let me get your opinion on something.
Which, by the way,
a little bit of different take, right?
All-Star is my favorite Superman story of all time.
Oh my God, yes. It's so good. Let me get this. Rhea! Holy crap, Rhea. Imagine being the most notorious villain of all time. And a man that... Wait, okay. My dyslexia, guys, it's been bad for like 2 weeks. And a man that just got the job. Wait. You talking about Snyder? Imagine being the most notorious villain of all time. And a man that just got the job. Oh, Gunn?
What are you talking about?
I think Gunn. Rhea. Okay. Who are you talking about? I'm going to make her answer. I'm going to put her on the spot. Rhea, we love you.
It's just that's where my annoyance gets to, and that's honestly
more.
Here's the thing, that is 100%.
Oh my God! Hold on, I'm so sorry. I did not realize there was more. That's why it didn't make sense. Okay, imagine being the most notorious villain of all time, and a man that just got the job comes in, makes you pregnant, and starts joking around with your character's brand. James Gunn, this is not Rhea.
No. Okay.
James Guns need to be fired immediately. This is not Rhea. Rhea, if you are here, everything I said is true. I still adore you and I love you. But at least say something in the chat so I know it's you. I think someone's trolling. Because Rhea's the sweetest person ever.
Yeah, she is.
James Gunn does not need to be fired. It was fucking Albus. It was Albus. That's not going to happen, for one. And for two, he came here to fix a problem. There was clearly a problem.
Yeah. Now, my problem is when people put all of the problems at Snyder and ignore the gross mismanagement that Warner Brothers... Here's why.
No, there was a terrible mismanagement.
I know.
Absolutely.
I know, 100%. I'd say 100% of the issues with the DCEU is because guess what? Warner Brothers got cold feet when it happened with BVS, even though BVS made close to $1 billion, like I said. And then they were like, oh, no, we have to switch. So you know what they did? They used Zack Snyder's daughter's suicide to justify getting rid of him so that they can butcher his projects. That is very disgusting.
Yeah, that is. Snyderverse, a dead guy. Thank you.
Dead guy, what's up?
Snyderverse / New 53. I know what you mean. Was good to me. I enjoyed it. You guys I want to see a Dead Guy and Comics League crossover.
Let's do it.
I think that would be a really good stream to go over, like, because you guys have a lot in common. I think it would be really cool.
Let's
I
do
enjoyed it. It's over though, and happy and
way-
hopeful to see what Gunn is bringing to us. He has
Speaking of the
proven time and
Snyderverse-
time again. What's that? Oh, that's so pretty.
It's a
Oh my
Wonder
God,
Woman
I need
hot
one.
toy. I had to get the BVS one because I want the Sword and the Shield and not the
Yeah.
wuss one that didn't have that because of Patty Jenkins.
Oh yeah. He has proven time and time again he cares about these characters and wants to tell the stories right. And I think that's very fair. And I do see, do you have issue? Now, I want to bring up a couple things because the Snyder fandom is still popping off. You still have people like, I don't remember. Saggy would know his name. The guy that was literally standing in front of.
Oh, Skywalker?
Yeah, that cringe. Him, super toxic dude. Then you have the sell to I don't know. I guess there's this hope that it's going to be sold to Netflix, even though it's already been debunked. Why? Oh, and then of course, Sil Abdul, basically milking people for money. Sil is something else. And then you have people like the guy that made a video about me a while back. I know he's been making videos about Eddie from Oh My Diaz that just sits there and screams at the camera and calls people profanities. Yeah.
I had him on my channel once, but I quickly, as soon as I saw this, was like, no, I'm done.
I'll tell you something later about that guy to be very wary. But I don't want to say it out loud because liabilities. But what is the actual hope? What is the actual hope with the stuff going to Netflix? Zach's doing his own thing. He's moved on. Not only that, he's creating his own Star Wars like universe, right?
Which I'm so pumped for.
And that's awesome because you're a fan of Zach and a fan of DC. These two things are separate for you, right? You can separate them. But do people not come into realization the money it would cost for it to continue?
But here's the thing, though, because, okay, so let's say it happens, because and what this would lead to would be a sort of like a negotiation between Warner Brothers Discovery and Netflix on who brings up which costs, what happens and stuff. All this can be like negotiated. All we're saying is at least give it a shot. Just say, okay, you know what? We'll look into it. We'll talk to Netflix, see if they're interested, and then you know what? If we get to that point and both Netflix and Zack Snyder said, okay, you know what? Now we can't do it. All right, fine. That's totally fine. That's all.
Okay, but did it even get the numbers on HBO Max for that? Honestly, like, it's not even in the top 10 of HBO, is it? Isn't like it wasn't beaten out by Velma?
The Snyder Cut?
Yeah.
Well, the time it launched, it crashed HBO Max's servers and was the top thing streamed. So that's my problem.
At the
that's
time.
Another issue when people bring up, okay, so now it's been like shut down. Well, of course, it's been 2 years. I'm saying because here is Warner Brothers' other fatal mistake. Because, okay, Snyder Cut gets released. You have all this goodwill on DC. Okay, you have like, okay, you know what? What they should have done is said, okay, you know what? People like this. We'll give it like, okay, one movie to conclude it. That's it, because people seem to be really enjoying this. But they're like, nah, we're not going to continue that. We're going to continue with Ta-Nehisi Coates' Superman movie.
No, that's actually, to my understanding, Ben Newt.
Yeah.
But this is actually a really good question. Why would WB license their top characters while they're trying to build a new universe and get away from that universe? They already have those projects. What would be the point? They have no interest. Cost alone to license those characters to Netflix would be astronomical. And then add on top of that, actually seeing if these people want to return as the characters. Say they do. Say they want to return. Their salaries are massive. And then to have the quality, the absolute sheer astronomical price tag of this thing would not be worth it.
Which is why I said, okay, yeah, I would prefer live action, but if I can get animation in the style of Love,
Right.
Death, and Robots, I'll take that, or I'll take a comic book. I will personally take that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. But also, here's the thing, though. Okay, Warner Bros. Discovery has already said, okay, we're more than James Gunn and Safran said, okay, we're more than willing to license out DC if we think that these projects could do better on other projects. Because guess what?
When have they said that?
The DC lore. They did say that. I can pull up that tweet for you right now.
Even so, weren't they talking? The only time I know they were talking about that was with projects that were already made, like that.
Nope.
Bruce Timm thing.
They were not talking about that because the tweet came out. Guess when? Immediately after James Gunn published his slate. Which, by the way, I'm honestly pretty like what's the word? Pretty optimistic about James Gunn's slate. I'm interested. The only thing I have like some reticence about is his Superman movie, which he's writing. But I'm like, okay, you know what? Based on his comments on Twitter, I think he gets the character, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm most excited for Lanterns and Booster Gold because I totally called that Booster Gold was going to get his own series. Thank you. I will accept that.
Bianca, thank you so much. I love Snyderverse and New 52. I know this isn't you.
Thank you.
This isn't her. She didn't love the Snyderverse. This isn't her, Albus.
Yeah.
And wish they hadn't hired James Gunn, eh? No. We love Bianca, but that's not her. So you see why people get upset, right? Like when this is the kind of stuff that irritates people too. And I don't mean to like, I know this is from your chat, but calling everything you disagree with about Snyder fake news.
No, because there is a lot of fake stuff. Even Warner Bros. Discovery when they took over said, yeah, they first off when the merger was happening, the people at Discovery said, yeah, Warner Brothers lied about a lot of their streaming numbers. A lot about them.
Where? I've never seen any of that.
When they were doing the merger process, a lot of people came out and said, yeah, they lied about that. Like Peacemaker was inflated, and apparently the Snyder Cut.
I would love to see proof of that because I've not seen anybody say that.
I will pull that up.
And you could very well be right. I may have not been up on the news. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just haven't heard it personally.
Yeah, I have. But that's just because I'm very plugged into the DC news stuff because that's one of the topics that I specifically like hyper focus on.
No, I get it.
Shows.
So would you be okay with the Snyderverse going on with James Gunn as the person, not Zack Snyder?
What do you mean, the character? Well,
like as an animated show or something without having Zack involved.
What they could easily do is just have Zack involved as a producer to like make sure like, okay, the story is kind of going toward where I had it with the storyboards. And by the way, he has new storyboards. The stuff that was used was not like that. Like the whole Batman being the father of Lois' son was done. That's it. But my point is that as long as Zack is involved somewhat in the story process because it is his story, like the story that like he came up with, yeah, I would be fine with that.
Okay, I'm just curious because I don't think you're in the majority there of fans. A lot of these fans are, and not saying everyone, I'm being a little hyperbolic here, but the problem is a lot of the fans, the way they interact are fucking terrible to people and are terrible to James Gunn himself. And
I don't disagree.
So why would they want to continue that with that rabbit of a fan base? Honestly.
I'm just saying James Gunn himself has said that's a minority of the fan base. The majority of them are actually nice people. And he reiterated it a lot. Now, some of those toxic people in the fan base misinterpreted that as saying he's saying the Snyder fandom is the minority. No, what he actually said is that the toxic side is the minority. That's it. And that's what gained respect for me for James. That's what made me respect James Gunn a lot more because he was the first person at Warner Brothers to say, you know what, these toxic people, they're the minority. The majority of them are actually nice people that just want to see Zack's movies continuing. So I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm more likely to give you a chance just because you said that.
Okay, so were you one of them that were fucking going off about the Flash trailer, making like trash signs and going all crazy about it?
I thought the Flash trailer was freaking awesome. What are you talking about?
Hell yes. It
Hell
looked
heck.
great, doesn't it?
Plus, yeah, it uses Snyderverse stuff, and plus, well, let me put it this way, I've always had a positive opinion of Michael Keaton's Batman because I think he's a badass. That turned that up to a 20 in my mind because I'm like, whoa, yes. Just that one scene. My favorite scene is when Batman lowers his fist and you see Supergirl floating there like bright.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Like, I literally think I screeched when I seen that scene. I was like, she looks so good.
Badass.
Now, is she going to be Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow?
I don't think so.
That's a shame.
And by the way, to adjust to do with this, it's not going to be an Injustice like ripoff, because the difference with Injustice is because that was Superman's choice. This was Superman being mind controlled, and then apparently the mind control is only going to last for like a relatively short time. Then Superman shows up and goes, "Okay, let's go beat the crap out of Darkseid. Let's go not impress Darkseid." It's really simple.
Right. It's still an evil Superman.
Which,
it's still the
way,
same thing.
The reason why these companies keep doing that is because the story sells. Because in today's jaded world, you're not going to believe that like a dude that has the powers of a god is going to be like this absolute Boy Scout. Granted, Superman.
That's why you have to make that story. You've read All-Star Superman. You've read these great superhero Superman stories. We don't need another dark Superman. We don't need that story again. People will see. We have Homelander. We have Omni-Man. We have all these stories. These are getting old.
Well, here's the thing. We tried that. It's called Superman Returns, and it bombed.
That was pre-Snyder, correct?
That was pre-Snyder, but I'm saying we tried the more like the more 100% hopeful Superman, always like positive. We tried that. Guess what? Didn't work.
I would have to look. I don't know. I remember that movie. It was weird. He was like creeping through their window.
Well, there were some very, very like questionable creative decisions. Like I hated the suit and that the S was like way too small. But that was just me. But my point is, they tried that, and guess what? That's what there.
I have no idea the stats on that movie because it wasn't my favorite thing. Let me get this real quick.
Me neither.
A dead guy. Wait. Is this actually you? Albus, you've got my mind all fuckered up. Albus is the ultimate troll. That's but like trolling in a really good way, right?
Yeah.
I've got nothing to say and couldn't think of anything clever, and I'm enjoying the stream immensely. Well, dead guy, Albus, whichever. Thank you so much. So the point is, what I was trying to say there, Superman Returns being out of the thing, we've got Superman and Lois to prove that a hopeful Superman can work, to prove that this storyline can be done. And honestly,
they did evil Superman in that show, by the way.
What's that?
They did evil Superman in that show, by the way.
I don't know. I didn't see it all.
Season one, they did it.
No, they didn't. I watched season one.
It was an alternate reality. Where do you think Steel comes from?
Oh, well, yeah, but it wasn't the main Superman. That was a little bit different. That wasn't your main Superman. They were showing why Steel came to Earth and then what happened on that Earth.
And by the way, one of the reasons why I like that show is because they did take Superman in. They kept Superman positive because even Snyder did that arguably. But my point is that they also took him a little dark. So
what?
Yeah, they also took him a little dark in the Superman and Lois show, which is why I love it, and I think it's the best show that has ever been done in a CW type of way.
You know what? I can agree with that. That and Stargirl are really, really well done, but they have they give Lois agency, which is a big deal because in the Snyderverse, she had none. Her whole existence was to coddle the Superman.
Though. That's just Lois in the
comics.
I'm
not
you know how I feel about Lois Lane.
I was going to say, I'm not a big Lois person, but they gave her agency actually in the show, which was nice. It was nice to see her be her own person. But it shows that people crave and people want a hopeful Superman. The idea of saying that, how? Please explain to me how an ounce of that movie was hopeful.
Superman going the whole. Here's the central theme of Man of Steel. Okay, central theme is that you have all these powers and you want to. It's basically a story of trying to use your powers to help people. That's basically what the movie is. And you know
while
what?
Destroying Metropolis and killing somebody.
Okay, so they're destroying Metropolis. Superman tried repeatedly to get that fight out of the city.
You realize that you can argue that, but the basic fundamental of this story was that it was bad at the level of writing and execution. It could have been done like in, I'm going to pull from Superman and Lois again, where instead of, I think it was, we didn't know who the character was at the time, but it ended up being Steel. You kind of thought it was Lex Luthor. He took him up, right? Cool. That was a really good way to show Superman can not only use his brawn, but he can use his brain at the same time.
Okay.
And the fact that they just completely let that go on Man of Steel was garbage.
Here is the difference. That's an experienced Superman. This is one that just learned about who he was 3 days ago, got his suit 3 days ago, became Superman 3 days ago, and has never fought anyone.
3 days? That's a bit hyperbolic.
Well, let me put it this way. It was short enough that he doesn't know how to fight, and B, he has never fought anyone that could realistically hurt him. Because in that show, I have to assume he's fought Zod.
So he's dumb.
No, he's inexperienced. This is Superman just starting out. That's my problem when people watch these movies, that they treat it like, okay, Superman's always been Superman in this. No. He hasn't.
I'm sorry, that's not the Superman that I enjoy. That's not the Superman a lot of people enjoy, because there was a lot of backlash with that movie. I remember, he wrote American Alien, Max Landis.
Max Landis.
Yeah.
I just completed that, and I love it.
Oh, it's really good, isn't it?
The only problem I have is that you're telling me Clark slept with Cheetah. I'm like, that's awkward.
Yeah, that was a little weird. But even like right after that movie came out, he did a whole breakdown of it and talked about how this Superman is nothing like the character that he knows. And if you got people wrong. How is that objectively wrong? You're using objective in a term that it doesn't apply to.
Because it was the new 52/post-Christ Superman. Again, a lot of people are trying to compare
3
this
years
to Silver
of
Superman.
New 52, a couple years of New 52. That doesn't erase the rest of the history.
No, I'm not saying it erased it. I'm just saying you have to go by, okay, what was he
You don't have
at
to.
the time? Yes, you do. Because that's
How
what
do you
the writer is.
Since when is there synergy? Since when? We had a Doom Patrol show for 5 seasons, and we're just now getting a Doom Patrol book. Why does there have to be all of a sudden this synergy that you think he had to pull from New 52?
No, Nerdette. All I'm saying is that to understand where he was going with the story, you have to go to the comics that were coming out at the time, because that's what's going to inform the writer. Let me put it this way: if I were writing Superman, then I would go to the way he is now in the comics, because these companies, whether or not you want to believe it or not, are operating under the arguably false assumption that when a person goes and watches these movies, they go, okay, I want to go read Superman comics now, so I'm going to go to
right. Exactly. You just proved your point wrong.
Yeah,
you said they're not reading it anyway, so why did they pull from that?
No, I'm just saying this is why they think. I don't think that that's that it's a valid point. It may be sort of now, because DC is trying. There's another point for James Gunn when he said he's working with Jim Lee to make sure the characters in the comics reflect the characters in the movies.
That's great. I love that.
Thank you. Please do that, and fire Megan Fitzmartin, please. That would be very appreciated. But you have right to. Okay, here's the problem with this comment right here. People treat it like Clark intended for that to happen. It was all Zod. Zod was the Because let me put it this way: how did they end up in space?
Wait, you're blaming Zod for all of it? So Superman has no agency in this?
No, what I'm saying is that, okay, because we've already established that Superman didn't know how to fight. Okay, there you go. He's never fought someone on the Kryptonian level. Compare that to Zod, who was bred for war and was like a very tactically minded person. The way that happened was, the way that it worked in that movie was, okay, you have someone that is 100%, that's just a farm boy from Kansas. And you have a dude that's basically the only purpose he was bred for is war. Okay, so you have them fight. Who do you think is going to be knocked into buildings more? And,
regardless, you realize this is a problem with that universe as a whole. All you're speaking of, they could have done a different story about being an experience. It doesn't have to be a destructive world, but they chose to make it that way. Let me get this real quick.
Okay, that's fine.
Zack Snyder tip. Totally. I can't believe you don't enjoy my films. They're beautifully made, desaturated, slow motion works of art. Unsub. I'm telling my mom too.
Love you, Zach. But anyway,
I love it. That's so good. You tell your mama.
Superman punched Zod into space, which eventually we got that little the tease of Bruce Wayne in the Wayne satellite, and then Zod threw the satellite at him, and then you get the meteor shower thing. Superman tried repeatedly to get them out of the city all the time. It's just Zod was like, because Zod knew, okay, if I keep him in the city, in the back of his head, he's going to be like trying to protect the people, so he's distracted. If I can distract him, then guess what? I can go ahead and fight him.
Okay. If he's so inexperienced, this is a good point. How did he win? How did he beat 3 Kryptonians? You're claiming inexperience for the destruction, but he was strong enough that he was able to beat 3 Kryptonians, literally your words, bred for war.
Okay, 2 of those Kryptonians were distracted by the humans shooting at them.
Yeah, because bullets matter to them so much.
No, but their attention was off of him, so he's like, okay, now I can think and think, how am I going to do this? And then with Zod, that wouldn't happen. So with Zod, it's very simple. And that's my other problem. People treat it like he's like Ultraman / Omni-Man, and I'm like, okay, that is just dumb.
Isn't that what he was going for anyway at the end?
No, he wasn't.
He wanted him to be taken over by Darkseid.
And then quickly reverse that. And then guess what? Because what that turns into is essentially Superman being the classic Superman and going, okay, you know what? I can be this hero. There you go. Done. But anyway, back to what
1978 showed us you can do classic Superman right off the bat.
Yeah, and that movie is, and if you try and do that movie now, it's going to be like, okay, that's a little irrelevant.
Because, no, it's not.
How do you, because here's the thing. Again, they tried that in the past, and guess what happened? It didn't work. Whenever they try and keep Superman's, the adherence to purely that movie as the only valid interpretation of Superman is why for so long Superman was seen as a joke character.
You can't be serious.
Yeah, that's why.
Who saw, we're not talking about Aquaman. We're talking about Superman. Who saw him as a joke character?
The general audience.
No, they did not. Yes, Superman has been a beloved icon for 80 years.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. No one took him seriously. You could still be a beloved character, and everyone's like, okay.
Everyone took him seriously. Look at Justice League Action. Look at all the animated shows. Look at all the comics. Come on now.
Hang on. In Justice League Unlimited, he punched Darkseid through many different buildings. Are you telling me that was okay?
Of course not. But it was you've got one from a whole series of shows. No, this movie was destructive in general.
Repeatedly, Superman punches villains into buildings, destroys buildings, throws cars at people. The exact same level of destruction, except animated, is done in those shows.
No, they were evacuated.
How do you know
those
that?
people? Because they pre-established that. Just like in Arkham Knight, they pre-establish everyone gets out.
Well, yeah, I acknowledge that, but where does it show that they were evacuated? Because all I see is like, okay, a villain shows up, Justice League, assemble, let's go punch him through a bunch of buildings.
Then rewatch it. They literally pre-established that the stuff was evacuating during that dark side stuff.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the other times.
You would have to
throughout
name
the
a
show.
specific one, because I don't know which example. You can't just say he punches them through. There's some destruction, sure, of course.
Yeah.
But look at the level of destruction compared. Look at the show, how much they shown, even like to the point where we see in BVS it generally being hated by the universe they created. Look at Batman with that little girl. That was a great character moment.
Yeah. And I acknowledge that was like a great way to get Batman to hate Superman. But once again, and you notice with that building, with that Wayne building, let me ask you this: whose heat vision destroyed the building? Wasn't
I
Clark's.
have no idea.
Wasn't Clark's. It was Zod's.
I have no idea.
Because if you,
I believe you.
The genius part about that BVS moment is that it's the exact same Zod versus Superman fight, but from the ground perspective. That's why I love that opening, because it's like, okay,
it's a great
now
opening.
We're getting a human perspective.
It is a great opening. I'll give you that. But if you, I get it. I'm not going to be one of those person that you were talking about earlier. Yeah. But that's not my Superman. That's not a general audience Superman. There is a Superman out there that you should remember. Did you see Shazam in the theaters?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that movie?
Yeah, for the most part.
Did it feel relatively aspirational? You felt good walking out?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you should feel at a Superman movie.
I felt aspirational and good while walking out of Man of Steel, so that's just me.
I mean, I'm not sure how, but I believe you. I'm not questioning your intents here, but I just don't know how you can walk out of that movie with thousands that Superman had killed and him cracking someone's neck.
He didn't kill.
His actions killed them.
Did you? No, his actions did not. Zod's actions did. Superman was repeatedly trying to stop him. And by the way, Snyder Queen actually brings up a really good point. And by the way, what's up, Snyder Queen?
Let me see here.
In the recent animated movies, yeah, they pretty much actually there's another one above that, which she's talking about Justice League.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Where she's talking about Justice League War. She says, I literally watched Justice League War, and people got killed and kidnapped and taken to Apocalypse. Whole city has been totaled. Yeah, and that, guess what? Superman, baby.
I haven't seen Justice League War.
I'm saying in the more, and now let me clarify what I mean is that no one took him seriously. Because I think I may have misspoken a small bit on that. I'm not saying that people hated that character. Not saying that, because that's objectively false. But what I mean is that when you pre any of this more modern takes on Superman, when I would go up to people and say, "Hey, my favorite character is Superman," everyone's like, "Really? The dude who wears his underwear on the outside of his pants and basically flew backwards?"
I've never heard anyone say that. I'm sorry. I've never heard anyone say that.
I've been in conversations.
Everybody knows his origin. Everybody looks at him as, not everybody, obviously that's hyperbolic, but I don't understand where you get these random people that say that Superman is goofy. Like, I could understand if you're trying to say Aquaman.
No one says that anymore, that's for sure. But
and that's the thing. That is one good point to the Snyderverse. They did make Aquaman cool again.
Do you really think that Warner Brothers would have cast Jason Momoa as Aquaman?
Yeah, why not?
No, I think they would have gone with another blonde-haired white dude and kept.
I mean, maybe, but we don't actually have any evidence of that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying is that they would have. I think they would have kept it more toward the comics, and that's the thing about Zack. What he did is he cast more badass versions of these characters, like Ben Affleck as Batman, Henry Cavill.
You can still have badass versions of characters while staying true. Let's talk about Ben Affleck as Batman. Are you going to sit here and tell me he wasn't a murder machine?
No, I'm not going to say that, because guess what? That served the story. Batman at that point,
right? The story. You just said it. The story was the issue.
No, I'm saying it served the story. I'm not saying the story was the issue. I'm saying
Batman killing?
Yeah,
Batman being a murderer?
Because guess what? That was part of Batman's arc. At that point, Batman was at and by the way, here's the interesting part. let me address this. All right, BVS. No one in that movie defends Batman. In fact, everyone, including Alfred, is like, dude, you're going a little too far.
So is that Batman? Is that the Batman you know? The Batman you knew beforehand or you knew after?
I finish?
I suppose.
Thank you. So when you go to, so all of BVS is an admonition on that Batman. All of BVS. Did we have some badass fight scenes? Hell yes.
Yeah.
But let me put it to you this way. All right. So Batman's whole thing in that movie is that he blames Superman for the destruction of Metropolis, just like that. And he goes, okay, so you know what? With someone with that power scheme, we have to take him out. So essentially, Batman fights Superman, has that whole Martha moment, which I'll admit could have been written a lot better. And that was one of the points that we rewrote in our stream. But anyway, go back to what I'm talking about. At the end of that movie, okay, so compare Batman at the beginning of the movie to Batman at the end of BVS. Batman at the end of BVS is like, men are still good. I failed him in life. I'm not going to fail him in death. Help me find the other metahumans like you to replace Superman because I contributed to his death. And then in Justice League, when he revives Superman because he's like, no, you know what? I screwed up. I was wrong the entire time. I have to help make this right. Then when they leave to fight Steppenwolf, Alfred says, okay, Batman goes, he'll be here, Superman. He'll come and help us. Batman go, and then Alfred goes, how can you be so sure? Superman, and then Batman goes, it's just faith, Alfred. I just have faith. That's the thing. Because Batman is the example of Superman's influence. Because it's Superman that inspires Batman to abandon his murderous ways and take up.
Batman was never a murderer, even in his.
Michael
this
Keaton,
is such a.
Michael
this
Keaton,
is
Christian Bale.
I don't care about those. Those were terrible renditions, also. And this is such a bull BS excuse here. He had a gun for like 2 issues
Batman
in 1942.
Killed Darkseid in Final Crisis. Batman kills every parademon. And
Parademon? Are you really saying parademons are the same thing?
And by the way, Samuel, no, the whole Alfred faith was in Zack Snyder's Justice League. That wasn't. Here's how you know that's wrong. I never, ever, ever referenced Justice League because I pretend that movie never came out. That's just me.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, because that movie was basically an insult to DC fans, and that movie from that point on, that's why I was like, okay, Joss Whedon is overrated, except for maybe Firefly.
This is such a bad excuse here. 30s run, it's literally 2 comics where he has a gun, and then they decided to take it away, and they haven't used it since.
Batman
the character of Batman does not kill, nor would he have killed at that point in his arc.
But wait,
he wouldn't have.
Wait. You said Batman doesn't kill, and then you tried to refute my parademon remark. If you want to say he doesn't kill humans, that's okay. We can debate that. But he kills aliens all the time.
He didn't kill parademons in Injustice. He thought they were too.
Well, that's just.
I don't remember his exact wording.
We're living also in a universe where Superman like murders a bunch of people for no reason. So that universe is its own thing. That's why I don't reference Injustice, because that's its own like backwards thing where like Wonder Woman corrupted Superman for some reason. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's its own crazy universe, which is awesome. I love Injustice just because it shows why we should be appreciative of the Superman we have. That's besides the point.
Parademons are not real people, by the way. And outside of the movies, when did Batman ever kill in the comics besides 1932?
Final Crisis, he killed Darkseid. As far as he knew, he killed Darkseid.
He didn't kill Darkseid.
Yeah, he did. No, as far as he knew.
He didn't.
As far as he knew, because he shot Darkseid.
He literally didn't, though. So when did he kill?
Okay.
And the thing is it's pre-established that he doesn't kill as a child because of his father's Hippocratic oath. It's not something he goes through an arc and learns.
Where was that established?
Batman Annual #1 by Mariko Tamaki.
Of course. But
and it's a phenomenal book. I definitely suggest it to anyone.
Yeah, that was one of the books. I haven't checked that out yet, but I've heard it's good. And that was one of the examples where I'm like, okay, Tamaki can write good stuff. So I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, okay,
absolutely.
that's fine. If you have people that are typically not liking her writing, saying that's a good run, you know it's a good run.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And wait, Samuel, the Justice League does a better job explaining why the Mother Box were waking the Snyder Cut. Why? Because they just woke up in that one. What they were reacting to, okay. Can I address this real quick?
This right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so here's what the Snyder Cut did. It wasn't Superman screaming. I can tell why on a if you're approaching this from a surface level understanding, you can get that. But what happened, and they explained this in Justice League, and the only version of Justice League that exists, was it wasn't it wasn't Superman screaming. It was the fact that Superman was dead. Because if you notice, when a Cyborg was turned into Cyborg, Steppenwolf never showed up because Superman was alive. As soon as Superman was dead, and that established that the Apocalyptians, if there's one thing they fear, it's a Kryptonian, which is paid off when Superman shows up and beats the crap out of Steppenwolf. I'm not writing the script. That's literally what it says in the movie. Like word for word, practically.
I don't remember it saying that in the movie, but I believe you.
How long has it been since you guys have watched these movies?
Since I watched the Snyder Cut, the 4-hour one, the day it came out, I watched it once, gave it a chance. It was okay at best, and why would I want to rewatch something that's 4 hours long?
I ask because a lot of the people in the comments are making comments that indicate that they haven't watched the movie in a very long time.
Well, we just watched Man of Steel and BVS a few months ago for Bad Idea, so it hasn't been that long. And it was
version.
I did. Bianca did not. BVS was much better than Man of Steel. Man of Steel was garbage.
I don't think it was
garbage at its floor.
Well, let me put it this way: in terms of my rankings of the Snyder movies, it's actually going up. It's actually as they progressed, it got better. Granted, I liked Man of Steel. Was it my now? It's my. Let me clarify what I mean by when I say least favorite. I don't mean I hate it. I just mean of the three, it's the one that's my third favorite. So it's Man of Steel, BVS, Zack Snyder's Justice League. I have to say Zack Snyder's Justice League because there you go. But my point is that when you look at they explain it in the Snyder Cut. You have to actually. What I would encourage you to do, because you can find these scenes on YouTube. You realize
you shouldn't have to explain it like this, right?
No,
normal fans will not pick up on this little BS.
Literally, they say this in the movie. They explain that, okay, so I'm going to describe the scene. Aquaman says, okay, so even if we can bring Superman back, who's to say he could beat these Apocalyptians? Batman goes, oh, yeah, the Mother Box did, because Victor's father turned on a Mother Box all those years ago to revive him. Steppenwolf didn't show up. So it's like they were afraid of Superman. There you go. They literally, in explicit words, explain the purpose of the Mother Box. In the Justice League, okay, they just wake up and Steppenwolf shows up. That's it.
I don't remember. It was 4 hours of the movie that I didn't enjoy. I'm not going to watch it more than once. I believe you, though.
Well, that's fine. But I'm saying that particular scene's also on YouTube. But my point is that the Snyder Cut, I call it context the movie, because it explained all the plot holes from Justice League. It was like, nope, here's why. Here's a way better version of Steppenwolf in terms of characterization. There you go.
The thing is you realize and I think we've kind of gone over this a little bit before, but you having to explain movies isn't a normal movie-going experience. These movies are, as a
Tristan
rabid comic fan, these aren't the characters that I've grown up with.
That's fine, but Tristan, I didn't have to. What I just explained does not require me to say anything. All you have to do is watch. I'm just saying a lot of these criticisms of these movies explicitly explained in the movie. That's it. A lot of the points that people bring up, and I know this because I did multiple streams about this, addressing criticisms I'd say about 90% of them are addressed if you just watch the movies. That's it. They explain them. It doesn't mean you have to accept the explanations, but I'm just saying if you're saying that like they never explained it, I'm like, no, they did. To a degree.
And that's fair. I don't even know where that mother box conversation came from, to be fair. I don't even know.
Put a comment in there that
okay. Okay. I was going to say I don't remember bringing that up because I don't remember that part specifically, but the issue here is it's not even the movies. Like, it is. A lot of people didn't like them. There's a rabid fan base, and then people like you that did. Some normies enjoyed it too.
Did a lot of people, because according to like a few of the websites that like measure fan engagement, it's like, no, that a lot of fans were. Granted, let me put it this way: I actually did a stream talking about the legitimate criticisms of Snyder. So even I have problems with a few of his movies. But the point is that the whole, because I saw someone once put in a comment that like the vast majority of people hated his movies, and I'm like,
I enjoyed Watchmen.
I love Watchmen. Are you kidding
me?
Watchmen's
actually really good.
What a fantastic movie.
For not being a big Snyder person, that is, in my opinion, the best opening of a movie ever made.
Yeah, I know. It's so that's one of the things I love about Snyder is that his movie openings are always more unique than the last one. Personally, my favorite non-DC movie is 300.
Well, that's not bad either. So I'm just looking here. You saying?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just looking at because it's very hard to judge, right? You are in a circle where you think everybody loves it because you're in the Snyder circle.
No, I don't think everyone loves it. I just think it's not as hated as people think it is.
Right. And you realize that's the Snyder fan base that has done a lot of that damage.
Oh yeah.
Not you specifically. I just mean in general.
I appreciate that. But here's my issue with that too, because I see on Twitter people treat it like, okay, the pro Snyder group is the toxic group. The anti-Snyder group is totally fine.
Is there an anti-Snyder group?
Yeah, there's an anti-Snyder movement too, and let me tell you, these people make fun of Snyder's daughter's suicide constantly.
I have never once seen that.
Granted,
I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I just haven't seen it personally.
I have, because they've come after my tweets a lot. So I'm like,
gotcha.
And again, in no way am I saying that's everyone that doesn't like Snyder's work, because there's too many people like you that are like saying, okay, I do
remember Mecha Random. Yep, she went after him. Yeah. I do remember that. That's a good point.
Yeah, and let me put it. Yes, there is a sort of a movement, but the fact that that the antis treat themselves like they're holier than thou, I'm like, no, you guys played part of a role in why this vocal minority of Snyder fans got so toxic. Because here's what happened: Man of Steel comes out, and we're all like, okay, we really like this movie, and yes, she is, but we enjoyed this movie a lot, and we want to talk about it. And then people like roll in and go, no, that was a horrible movie. You guys suck. You're not real DC fans. So why
does somebody else get to tell you you're a fan though? Why don't you just ignore them?
Oh no, I know that, and that's another thing. What I'm saying is that people are like, okay, so Snyder fans always come in my DMs and blast me. Then block them. You don't have, because that's my thing. Because guess what you can do? These people are just going for attention. Deprive them of attention. Block them.
Right, but it's a little hard when all the Snyder fans are constantly, every single interaction with DC, bugging them on. Even if it's like something silly, like something in memorandum. Somebody passes away, DC puts a tweet out there or some sort of engagement, and they're on their ass about it.
Well,
and they were literally like, when James Gunn got hired, I think it's that guy we were talking about earlier saying, oh, Zack Snyder could have married him earlier. And then going and saying that James Gunn was racist because he didn't include Cyborg at the end of Peacemaker.
Well, okay, I disagreed with that. There's a significant point. Let me put it this way. That's when I have to say, okay, guys, like, calm down, because if you listen to what he said, he wanted to include Peacemaker, which is Warner Brothers. He wanted to include Cyborg and Batman. It's just Warner Brothers said, no, you can't use those characters because Warner Brothers was really weird at that point. But there are plenty of of people in the Snyder fandom that really annoy me. And by the way,
that's fair.
And by the way, 007 Angelo, it's not like coping. It's just here's the thing. How would you feel, okay, Nerdette, if you had a series that you really enjoyed, that the story was going somewhere, and then DC said, okay, that left it on a cliffhanger. Oh no, we're not gonna we're not.
Like, you guys got what you wanted, though. You wanted the end of the Justice League. I thought that was supposed to be it. And if they've done that to me plenty of times, I haven't been a rabid crazy person.
And here's the problem with that, though. And I've said this on the stream. The Snyder Cut should never have been released. As much as I love that movie, if they had no plans to continue the universe, they shouldn't have released the Snyder Cut. Because even a significant
I thought that's what you wanted.
No, let me put it this way. I wanted it, but I'm like, if they really don't, because what happened when they released the Snyder Cut? Because you had the people going, okay, they released the Snyder Cut. Then maybe they can at least return the rest of those two movies. Yeah, I know, Sammy, but let me put it this way, Sammy, I still love the movie very much. I'm just saying that if they didn't want to continue it, why did they release it?
Okay, let me get this real quick. Robert, thank you so much. Look, there is a major difference between enjoying the Snyder Cut as its standalone universe. It's another thing to claim they are the definitive take and represent the DCU better than anything else has. Sadly, so many Snyder Bros fall in the latter.
Well, why not? Because everyone's entitled to their own opinion on these characters. That's the other thing that I see on Twitter, is that a lot of people, not saying you, because you 100% not, but a lot of people, a lot of the holier than thou DC fans are like, no, your versions are not valid. So I'm like, okay.
And this comment here, the Snyder Cut, to my understanding, was supposed to be released to complete the trilogy. It's always a moving goalpost. It's supposed to be a 5-part saga, but did that come up before the Snyder Cut was released?
Yep.
The problem is, you give a mouse a cookie, it wants a glass of milk. And the Snyder fans are fucking thirsty for that milk.
Here's the difference. It was originally supposed to be a 5-movie arc. It was. Zach had a plan for 5 movies, and then it only ended up being 3 because Warner Brothers capped him off.
A terrible fucking plan. Where he was going to cuck Superman.
He wasn't. Okay. Even Zach said he changed that part of the movie. I don't know why people bring that up when it's very.
Because it shows you the fundamental flaws of Zach's writing.
No,
you think that was something to do that was okay.
No, he said that's not okay. He even changed it. He was like, no.
See, I never heard anything about a 5-part before the movie was released. I never heard that because those boards did not come out before the movies were released.
And that was the problem with Warner Brothers marketing, is that they didn't have Zach's back. Had they said, okay, this is not going to be like DC, because the original plan was 5 movies, Flashpoint reboot, and then the next person can come in and do whatever they want with it. Had Warner Brothers said that, I don't think you would have had so much backlash, because they would have been like, okay, it's temporary. We can enjoy this. Let's see what story. Let's see where the story goes. He only changed it because Warner Brothers. And here's the thing.
Stop?
What?
What point do you stop? What point do you just start enjoying what you actually got as its standalone thing and start being? If you're a fan of these characters, why not be a fan of these characters? There are plenty of other stuff you can read, you can watch, you can do this. Stargirl got canceled. Doom Patrol got canceled.
But
Titans got canceled. But I am not sitting here being mean to people and fucking dogging on people and being not you.
Yeah, I appreciate
being
that.
a crazy person about this, because those were properties I loved. I wait for the next thing, or I watch the old. They still exist. Nobody can take that away from you. At what point do you just go, hey, you know what? I'm excited for James Gunn universe.
Here's the difference, by the way. When you compare like Stargirl and like Titans and all that stuff, they're getting conclusions. They're getting the opportunity to complete their story. Snyder never got that. And by the way, Robert, you said he only. And by the way, Robert, you said he only changed it because Warner Brothers forced him. Where's the evidence of that?
They're not getting a conclusion. They're not getting a conclusion. You realize that, right?
No, what I'm saying, they're giving them the opportunity. Okay, so
no, they're not. But I'm not being crazy about it. Not saying you're being crazy. I understand your fandom. But I also know there's an opportunity for more. And if I want more Doom Patrol, guess what? There's a comic coming out. Guess what? I've got Grant Morrison. I'm not going to bully people. Not you again. I want to just, for the rest of the stream, it's never you, okay?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. For future reference, I assume that when we talk about the crazy people, you're not talking about me.
And then why do you have people like Mikey Sutton, who's a big Snyder brony, coming out against, because people like Eddie and people like Saggy wanted to do something positive, and they're dogging on them. That's bullying. You realize this is what this has created.
Here's why. These same people blast Snyder fans whenever they come up with the hashtags. They're like, okay, so it's okay when you do it, but it's not okay when we do it?
When has Eddie ever done that? When Saggy makes fun of one person that literally tried, and you know why she does it? Because he tried to fly her out and get her to sleep with him.
Okay, well, that's crazy. But what I'm talking about is that I personally have seen a lot of the people, not necessarily the people you mentioned, but a lot of people like RJ blasting Snyder fans.
RJ does. Okay, I'll let you finish.
Okay, because here's where I saw this. When we had the whole sell the Snyderverse to Netflix trending event, and Wayne T. Carr retweeted, and Wayne T. Carr is a guy that was supposed to be Jon Stewart, but he tweeted this and said, okay, so here's what we want. Here's the basic thing I would love to come back, and here we go. So. And then I see certain people in the community going, I can't believe you would retweet this hashtag steeped in toxicity. And I'm like, okay, some people using the hashtag may have gone crazy, like whoever the hell was making those AI stuff, which, by the way, I blocked that person immediately. And I posted, you guys are making them look, you guys are making us all look like a joke. I have called out these people saying this.
I believe you. I know you. That's the thing. I know you would. You're not the issue. The issue is with these people just wanted to do something positive, have something positive in the community, and all they've gotten is hell.
That's what we want to do. We want to do something positive. We want to say, hey, okay, because the majority of people, the people that I have seen retweet those hashtags, let me be clear on that. The people that I have seen use those hashtags are people that are like, okay, you know what? James Gunn can have his own universe. You know, that's why it's not Restore the Snyderverse anymore, because the Restore the Snyderverse used to be cancel that and continue this. Now it's like, no, okay. Have these two as release a movie, at least one movie. And I said on my stream, I'll accept one movie to have Darkseid invade, and then we're done. You can even cut out the Nightmare sequence. That's it. You can even cut out the evil Superman. Just have Darkseid invade. The Justice League comes together. We get the Endgame style battle. Everything's done. That's it. That's it. It has morphed into just let us have at least one Elseworlds movie. Granted, some people are calling for too much, but that's besides the point. But one Elseworlds movie, that's it. Just to conclude the story, that we can have closure. And then, if we're interested, we can move on to James Gunn's universe. By the way, no matter what, again. Most of the Snyderverse community, which is people like me, are like, yeah, we're gonna at least give it a chance. I think that Superman is gonna be the deciding factor in his.
That's fair.
In his universe, because my whole thing is that if Superman bombs, I don't think it's gonna bode well for the rest of his universe. But I don't think it'll bomb, because judging by what he said about Superman, I think that James Gunn understands the character pretty well.
Okay. Also, I want to address this.
Yeah.
First off, I don't have a side.
Yeah.
Apparently, you don't know my channel. But
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Brown.
Also, what? These people that created this hashtag, what did they do that was so toxic?
No, but I'm not saying that anything with the hashtag that are toxic. I'm just saying these are the same people. It's getting kind of hypocritical, where they create their own hashtag. It's like, okay, that's fine. Let's spread some more positivity in the DC universe. That's fine. I even tweeted it out. But these are the same people.
That's what I'm saying. You're the bridge. You're the Aquaman. Dun dun dun.
I could be Zack Snyder's Superman. There you go. But anyway, my point is that these same people are like, we're like in the past, because I follow these people and I've seen this. They go, okay, these Snyder bros are at it again with their stupid hashtags, which is not going to happen. They're delusional. And I'm like, okay, you could disagree that the Cell thing is going to happen, that the Restore thing is going to happen. That's fine. But the minute you resort to ad hominem attacks or like doing this, you have lost the argument. I'm sorry, you are just as toxic.
100%.
Point out. I'm sorry, that's just the way it works. That's why I have that's why I only tweeted once, and that's why I have a hard time taking this hashtag seriously, because a lot of the people that started it have done this in the past. So I'm like, okay, guys.
So you're okay then with people dogpiling on them and writing articles about?
No, in no way am I okay with that. I'm just saying, personally, I'm not. Personally, I find it a tad hypocritical. That's just me. Now, I don't think
their toxicity. I haven't personally seen it, so I don't know. Like, I know Saggy will call out. Speaking of Saggy, she will call out the craziness in the Snyder universe,
which is fine.
Which is absolutely fine. You said you called it out too. So what is the difference here? How is that toxic?
I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying one is better than the other. Absolutely not. I'm just saying if you're gonna make fun of Snyder people for starting a hashtag to essentially do what we want out of the DC universe, it's going to look pretty hypocritical if you start your own. I'm just going to say, if you're going to blast, because basically a lot of these people have blasted them just for starting their own hashtags. And I'm like, guess what, guys? I agree with you. We need more positivity in the DC universe.
Yes.
110%. I try and be as positive as I can on my channel. 100%. I'm just saying it looks very hypocritical. And you know, but you know what? I'm not going to like, I'm not gonna not once defend anyone dogpiling you, because that is not the way to respond. You can call it, you can do what I do, call it hypocritical and move on. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. If you don't like it, don't tweet the hashtag. That's totally fine. But do not dogpile these people, because guess what that does?
It makes you look bad.
Not
exactly. You, but.
Because what these people don't realize that when they do this, that they're not talking for themselves. They're representing the Snyder fandom. Which, trust me, I can see why people would think that the majority of the Snyder fandom is toxic. I'm like, no, that doesn't work. 13%. You're telling me that like 77% was valid? Really?
Yeah, and like I to be fair, a lot of these reports are. So they did one of these reports when it came to the Justice for Johnny stuff.
Yeah.
And the person that they commissioned was such a fraud. So I don't necessarily think and online probably about at least 5 to 10% of all accounts are bots.
Yeah,
right?
And by the way, a lot of these, first to address this about if you look, the particular reporter who tweeted that report, guess what? Most of her following is bots. Second off, you also had
that's ironic.
Journalists. You also had, I know. You also had certain journalists that tweeted that like Snyder fans cheated for the Oscar fan favorite vote, and then the Academy Awards said, actually, no, that was valid. Here's our security measures to make sure it's all good.
Well, I wonder, was it Chris Boozy that did that? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea who that is.
That's the guy that did the one for the Amber Heard stuff, and it was bullshit. And Snyder Queen has a good point here. In every single fandom, every single movement, every single campaign, every single situation online, like if you mention, there's some times where you can just mention sex in a stream and you get a sex bot, right? So
yeah, when we do a stream, we have to call Nightwing Richard, because if we say dick, they'll show up in the chat.
That is fucking and that's just YouTube in general. So it's every social media platform.
Yeah.
So even if 77 is accurate, what I would like to know, and I don't think there is a way to quantify it, but I would love to know the the amount of Snyder fans like you out there as comparatively to the toxic ones, because I think I think one way someone keeps saying your side, and the reason why I picked this side was just to have this conversation. It wasn't like I hate Snyder. I've given him a lot of war. I just don't like his stuff. No.
It's not a war. Can we stop saying your side, my side? We both love DC. We're all ultimately on the same freaking side.
I didn't realize the whole time. The whole time we've been talking, I didn't have the chat up on screen. The whole fucking time, you guys.
All right.
Quality is what you get here. Quality is what you get here.
Exactly.
I seen it on my screen. You know what? The headphone thing in the beginning had me all fuckered up. So I apologize. But okay. I want to talk about a way forward. Okay. Right? I want to talk about a way forward. How do you mend this broken fandom?
Well, honestly, both sides have to stop with the whole your side, my side, Snyder Bros. We have to stop with labels, because that's the first thing you do. Because whenever someone calls me a Snyder Bro, guess what that does? It shuts down the conversation. We can have a legitimate conversation about.
Oh, that was just for clickbait in my title.
Yeah. Oh, let me put it this way. We could have a legitimate conversation like we had right now about DC stuff, about all this other stuff, about what we like, what we don't like. We can have a nice civil conversation. I'm sorry if I got heated earlier. That's just me. But
no, you're totally fine.
My point is we have to be able to have more conversations, more civil conversations. Both sides are 100% guilty of turning it into a war. And we also have to start ignoring these people on Twitter on either side. That's why I started. Just ignore them, because what these people want is attention. If you block them and don't follow them and don't even acknowledge them, even the ones that like post like restore the Snyderverse on like any DC post, ignore these people. Guess what? Eventually they'll go away. It's psychology. If you deprive them of attention, what are they going to do? They'll be like, okay, I can't do this anymore because no one's going to like me.
Starving them of attention.
Yeah, exactly. Starving them of attention, and highlight those on both sides of the community that are positive, and we'll have legitimate conversations. Because guess what? There's a reason why I keep coming on this channel, even though I'm a through and through Snyder fan.
And the thing is even your, I didn't realize I didn't have it on screen. I apologize, guys. But even your side of the chat, you can tell the difference. Like they may have gone at me hard, but they were always respectful. And I think that's a big thing. Like Snyder Queen and Brown Destroyer, a couple of them went at me pretty hard, but they always went at my points. And I think that's fine. I think neither you nor I are above criticism, right?
No,
we can.
Again, I did a stream where I talked about the weaknesses of Snyder's movies. That's it. So you can admit that there are legitimate criticisms. We can just say it's not enough to make me not like the movie, or that I can see why he did that. But the point is that we have to, first off, there's a significant portion, there's a portion of the fan base that thinks everything Snyder has done is like God bringing down the 10 Commandments. And I'm like, well, no. And he didn't, and that's the thing here. We have to be willing to at least see the other side. And yes, firing James Gunn is stupid, because if they really wanted to, if they're really going to fire him so simply, they wouldn't have hired him.
Yeah, and I think also, like, if you want to be a Snyder fan, cool. That's awesome. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I do think he has some great movies. I think, like I said, I still think it's the ultimate troll. When he had Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohen as Mark. It was so good, because it was right when they killed Glenn in The Walking Dead, and I was like, this has to be a troll. I am not convinced that it's not a troll. I fucking love this. It was so great.
If those two got cast as Flashpoint, Batman, and Joker, I'm like, please.
Oh my God. I would become the biggest Snyder brony if they would do that.
That's the best thing that Snyder has contributed to DC is these castings, because you wouldn't have had, you got, let's go do a quick background. Henry Cavill, Superman, Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, Jason Momoa. Say what you want about Justice League, but when that movie came out, they said 2017, the year Aquaman jokes officially died. There you go.
I mean, those castings, okay. I feel generally bad for Henry Cavill. I do.
Yeah. That's the other thing, though. Warner Brothers also made a lot of mistakes with PR that caused a lot of this backlash. Like bringing in Henry Cavill for Black Adam, okay, when they apparently knew they weren't going to use him, and they were like, no, announce you're back as Superman. And the rest of the fan base is like, what the hell, guys?
Okay, Amber Heard Mara, yeah, I'll give you that one.
That's one I will agree with. We're like,
oh my god,
get like Flashpoint, Wonder Woman cut her head off or something like that in the movie.
Yes, but I mean, like, I think going forward, I think a lot of this like squabble, I think a lot of this like bickering in between, you know, we all enjoy certain things at certain times, and that's okay, and I'm totally cool with that. I will always go back to the comics. That is just me. I love my comics. I'm a reader. I'm constantly have my nose in a book. That's me. I understand. Go ahead.
Snyder's movies got me into DC Comics because I was like, okay, I
that's
like
huge.
These characters. Let me go check these out. And you know what? I saw the other interpretation of Superman, and I'm like, because I had that Snyder's interpretation in my head, I was like, okay, now I get it now. In other words, yeah, I get you don't like it, but what that did is it made me look at Superman differently. So when I looked at the comics, I was like, I get it now.
Yeah, and I think I would personally like to see a little positivity. Like, that's just me out of the Snyderverse, because it definitely feels like
that's where we're going. Literally, the next movie was going to be the positive DC universe.
Okay, but I mean out of the fandom now as it goes forward.
Oh,
because a lot of the people that have a Snyder, Snyder bias, seem to have a anti-James Gunn bias all at the same time.
Yeah, and Robert, it doesn't skew my views. I just looked at the movies and they encouraged me to give the comics another shot. And then I looked at the comics like All-Star Superman, and I was like, okay, I like this now because I get the character of Superman. So
yeah,
that's
and I think that's a good thing.
Yelling at me, dude, really.
Anything that gets you back into comics, I think is a good thing, right?
Yes.
I think it's a really good thing.
My channel would not exist if the Snyder Cut had not been announced. Had not. Because first off, I started reading my comic collection, and then it encouraged me to have conversations with Lad again about comics, and we were like, okay, let's do this.
So, what are you looking forward to?
Okay, in terms of DC movies?
Yes. What we've got announced from Gunn so far?
Lanterns, baby. Because I'm like, a show that features Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan in a buddy cop movie? Hell yes.
Are you sure you and Dead Guy aren't the same person?
Yeah, I know. And then Booster Gold, baby. The best superhero you've never heard of.
Do you think it's going to be Chris Pratt?
Oh, I hope it is. I really hope it is, because I think he could do that character really well. And Batman, the Brave and the Bold, because I want to see which members of the Bat family show up. Because like he said, there's going to be multiple versions of the Bat family, multiple Bat family characters. So I'm wondering, are they going to do Red Hood? Are they going to have Nightwing? Probably Nightwing and Batgirl, probably. Or can we please just have Barbara be Oracle and have someone else be Batgirl?
Yes!
That's my character, please. And Swamp Thing.
Think we'll get any other Justice League Dark characters?
Oh, hell. I think what they're going to use Swamp Thing as a backdoor pilot for the other Justice League Dark characters. But I want to see that, because guess what? I love that Swamp Thing show so much, and I'm so sad.
It was so good!
I was like, no! It got the character! And by the way...
Okay, that's another example of something I love that got canceled.
And here's the thing about James Gunn's slate. It encouraged me to start buying books I wouldn't ordinarily not pick up, like Swamp Thing. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I like this. It's showing me, it's exposing me to other characters that I normally would not have checked out. And here's the thing, though. What James Gunn is doing also, by highlighting which books these are based on, these books are selling out. Like the omnibus for Grant Morrison's Batman is selling out. The omnibus, which costs up to $150.
Yes.
A Supergirl series is selling out. Like
the issue for number 1 is at, I think, $50 last time I checked.
Jeez.
I know.
But I'm going to give James Gunn a shot because this is the first time that the person that's the creative head that is at the top of the studio is 100% a comics fan, not just some director who's hired to run things. Because obviously Snyder's a comic fan, but what I mean is that the person in charge, besides Safran and Zaslav, is a comic book head. I'm like, yes, about damn time.
And I wanted to address this. I don't like James Gunn's style. Was never a fan of his films except for the first Guardians. I will watch Batman Brave. Okay, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're all going to be James Gunn style.
No, even Superman, because first off, he's shown that he can work on serious stuff. Like if you ever watch Brightburn.
Right, I need to.
That was such a great movie. I love Brightburn.
But I don't think he's going to be in charge of every single project. We know he's writing Superman Legacy.
Which I'm like, that's the only one I'm a little concerned about. But again, I think he gets it.
I do too. And I think as a DC fan, as a fan of these characters, I think if the Snyder fans can let down their guard, right? Just a little bit. And try to enjoy something going forward, that maybe that'll help the fandom a little bit. Not saying they have to, of course, but I just mean.
And also on the other side has to stop with like the whole, well, you're not a real DC fan. When Snyder fans say, you know what, it's not for me because you know what, I'm not a big fan of James Gunn's directorial style, his comedy style, because that's a valid criticism. If it's not for you, just say it's not for you and just move on. That's fine. But you also have on the other side people saying you're not a real DC fan. And I'm like, then shut up.
Like, I don't question anyone being a real DC fan. If you tell me you're a fan, you're a fucking fan. If you've read one comic,
with the DC logo, if you're a fan of anything with the DC logo, valid. You're a DC fan.
Right. Like, I get that shit a lot because I like John Kent Superman. Because it's a different take on Superman. I get that shit a lot, right? No self-respecting DC fan would ever like John Kent, right? Okay, sure.
Well, that's dumb, but okay.
Yeah, but the thing is at the same time, like I said in the beginning, we took different things very clearly away from some Superman runs. I've always looked at him, Superman's so great because every single time, without fail, he does the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's the issue at the core that I had with James Gunn. His father was telling him not to do the right thing. Not that he didn't do the right thing, because he did in that moment save those children.
Okay. Well, the way I interpreted it is I said, yeah, it was the right thing, but you have to be very careful about how you reveal your identity. Because really, the way I took it was he's saying, okay, I can't tell you what to do, Clark. You're just gonna have to like make your choice, but know that your choices have very steep consequences. As we're seeing in Flash, because Supergirl is probably, granted, I don't know it yet, but what it looks like to me is that she came out with the powers, and then she was kidnapped by the government.
And so she looks hot. Sorry, had to add that in there.
Again, I cannot say how much I love that trailer so much. When Flash's boots touch and then you have the lightning coming out, I'm like,
yes. I did get a couple people going, is that John Kent Superman? Is that a little boy? And I'm like, what?
Well, because
are you crazy?
The thing about it though, I'm a little like, why did you make her look like that when that's a very, very niche and in DC canon non-existent version of Supergirl? But
it's not Lara.
It looks nice. It's not Lara. Her name is. Well, I know it's not Lara, but they're using the character design of Lara. So I'm like, okay, I get it. Which I'm fine with it because she looks freaking dope as Supergirl. So I'm like, all right, I'm just glad the character is getting a movie.
I think it's just because she was being experimented upon. They probably cut her hair in there.
But
as far as her outfit, wasn't that New 52 Supergirl with the pants?
No.
Or is that Michael Turner? I'm trying to think.
No. The Supergirl that you're thinking of is the Lara from Injustice. That was her suit. The Supergirl from Injustice kind of had like I think thigh-high boots, and then the Supergirl like swimsuit thing. That's more of her costume.
Crap. But I must be misthinking. Yeah, I think she'd, and I do. I feel bad for her. That girl should get more of a chance to play Supergirl. Like,
And can I
she
say,
should be continuing.
seeing Affleck in the blue and gray suit, I'm like, oh yes, that shows it could work.
You know what?
What?
That was the one thing in that trailer I did not expect.
Really?
And again, for all of his faults, he did cast that character so perfectly. Ben Affleck plays a better Bruce Wayne than any person I have ever seen. He's got the emotional depth of that character. And in seeing that, for not being a big Snyder fan, I was fucking hyped.
Because the thing about Affleck, and I've said this for like a long time, is that here's what Affleck did well. For too long, we had Batman that were like, okay, he's good as Bruce Wayne, bad as Batman. He's bad as Batman, not good as Bruce Wayne. Where when you have Affleck, he's straight up down the middle. He's great as Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Yes.
That shot in BVS where he comes down the elevator and he's staring at his suit and you see that dark expression on his face. I'm like, that he looks exactly like Batman from the comics. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah,
and then,
it was great.
When I saw that, I was like, because the reason why I like this movie too is because it's shown, okay, it's going to be respectful to what came before it as well. And it's not, here's the thing, it's not going to be erasing the Snyderverse. What it's just doing, moving to a new universe. That's it, it's just moving over because we have a multiverse. It's not erasing it. Plus, the fact, even if it were, I could just go into my DVD collection and grab Zack Snyder's
it still exists.
I could still watch it. I got it on DVD because I didn't trust, because I know Warner Brothers are petty, and I thought they were going to take it off of HBO Max. But that's just me.
Yeah, that's probably smart. Not only that, but they like retroactively edit stuff sometimes.
Yeah, so I'm like, nope. I want the original.
Yeah, and it did a lot of really great work. For all the shit I give it, it made Cyborg such a great character.
Yes. I actually cared about Cyborg in the movie.
I don't like Cyborg generally. Yes.
Yeah, in Justice League, he was just a character and said, booyah, and you can see like the pained look on his face. But in this one, you actually got a version of his origin. Granted, it was sort of a change because he didn't like get hurt in a car accident. But besides the fact, I was like, okay, now again, so badass. When he goes, I'm not broken and I'm not alone. I'm like, there you go, dude. There you go.
Yep, I loved it. All right, guys, we are going to wrap up. But what do you have going on at your channel this week, Jared?
All right, so I got collabs coming out tomorrow on Monday. I just have a short that went out yesterday about why Wonder Bat makes no sense. And and then my recent Indie Wednesday episode talked about Donny Cates crossover. Fantastic book.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Crossover is so good. Watch his video on it if you're not sure if you want to pick it up, but it's so good.
First off, Donny Cates, and he's like one of the best writers at Marvel.
Yeah.
But anyway, this week on my movie night stream, we're talking about Pacific Rim, which is pretty much a comic book movie. And in terms of let's see, what else am I doing? In terms of my video coming out on Monday, I'm still thinking about what topic I want to cover. I think I want to do more general DC movie stuff. But besides that, just regular good times. And again, I know Snyder Queen is trolling me by saying Wonder Bat. That's become a running joke on my channel where people will say how much they like Wonder Bat, even though they know it pisses me off. It's a general thing. And the best part is that I can remove people from stream if I want to, if they say that. So I'm like, yep, done.
Goodbye.
Anyway,
Goodbye.
See ya. But actually tomorrow night at 12:15, I have my Comics League Dark News show where we'll talk about all the comics, all of the DC news, all the Marvel news and such. And yeah, that's basically what I have coming out. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I might do a review for Ant-Man Quantum Mania on Monday, which the CGI was
it looked so rough. Not going to see it.
Particularly from MODOK, I was like, no. It looks horrible. But besides that, nerd at that, thank you so much for having me and for this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I love this. More of these conversations need to happen so there's not such a big divide between sides. You know what I mean? Like, it's just fun. Let's enjoy our stuff. And thank you guys all for stopping by. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.